right, today we're in the studio with a Tallahassee legend.
Oh.
I'm here to tell you that because every time I say your name, everybody goes, oh, yeah, Mimi.
Cool.
So Mimi Hearn is in the studio with us today. Say hey, Mimi.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. It's great to have you here. I want to tell you that we actually met about 15 years ago.
Okay.
And you probably don't remember this at all, but I certainly do. And you were practicing at the Florida State TV Center.
Okay.
And you were practicing with the Thursday Night Music
right.
Club. And I came there to audition.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And
There
you
you
were
go.
there. You
All
were
right.
there with another lady.
Yes.
And you guys were so good that I just said, "What am I doing here? These guys are great." And I went home. So that's when we
Okay.
actually met. You
All
know.
right.
And now I don't know if I kick myself or not for doing that, but that's when we met a long time ago. And now we also met in one of your cohort's kitchens. It was somebody's birthday. And there was about 8 of us, and you all lined up on the other side of the kitchen counter and played and sang for us.
All right.
And I don't know who that was. I'll have to ask Susan whose birthday that was.
Okay.
So those are the 2 times that we've actually met. So are you from Tallahassee?
I am not. I'm a Navy brat, and
Wow.
I was born in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina.
Wow.
And my dad was a Navy chaplain, and the Navy doesn't, the Marine Corps, they don't have their own
So that's
chaplain.
why you were there. Okay.
So I was born in Camp Lejeune, and sometimes we'd be in a Marine Corps base, sometimes on a Navy base.
Oh, okay.
Moved a whole lot, went to 11 schools before I got out of high school,
Holy cow.
2 colleges.
Wow. Now, where all did you move to? What different places? So
Well,
Lejeune's in North Carolina, off the coast. I mean, I
I
know
won't
that.
go down the whole list.
Yeah,
'Cause it'll take
11.
a while. But most
States.
of them were on the East Coast. Well, all of them were on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was a lot of times he was on on land duty, and then other times he would be on sea duty, and so it kind of depended on where he was based, and
Yeah.
we would then move close to where he was, port town or whatever, and. He got to go all kinds of places, and we got to go nowhere
Right,
that I
right.
thought was exciting.
Right.
We've moved it a lot, and
I got to ask you a question. Did they refer to him as a sky pilot?
they did not.
Okay, that's a
Or not that I heard.
Yeah, that's a World War II thing with
Okay.
the Navy. The pilots, they refer to the chaplains as sky pilots.
Oh, okay.
Because they're in touch with the man.
There you go.
So all up and down the East Coast, going south or going north or both?
As south as Key West and as north as Philadelphia.
Oh wow. Okay, so you were at the Naval Air Station down in
And
Key
it
West.
was went there. I was there for part of kindergarten and all of first grade, and then went back in the loop and was there for part of 10th grade and all of 11th
Oh really? In Key West.
in Key West.
Very cool.
And then my dad retired when we finished up my 11th grade year, and we moved from Key West to Milledgeville, Georgia for my senior year of high school, and went through serious culture shock.
I was just going to say that was the words I was going to say.
You survived it, though.
I survived it. So
Yeah.
Now, how'd you get to college? Did you come here to college to Tallahassee?
Yes, I went my first 2 years at University of Georgia, because I was in Milledgeville, Georgia, for that 1 year
Right.
of high school, and then gladly went off to college. And,
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, that's like every kid, busting out.
busting out. And I'd done a little bit of theater in high school, and I was a theater major going into college.
Oh.
And then after a couple of years, my dad got done with his internship at the mental health hospital in Milledgeville, and then he got a job in Pensacola. So I followed in-state tuition around and came to Tallahassee in '72. And finished out my last 2 years.
So you really have this. This split allegiance.
Yeah.
You're half dog and half Seminole.
Exactly.
Well, we're also joined here today by our co-producer, John Owen. Say hey, John.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be here.
And well, you and Mimi have been friends a long time.
Oh, yeah. Back in probably 72
Yeah,
when you came
72.
in to Tallahassee.
Yep.
And, this is, a person that we've never really done any music together, but we're looking forward to kind of doing some new things together.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Okay, so you were a theater major. You did it in high school. Was it the high school or community theater? Or
It was the plays in the
school?
for the school.
Okay.
So.
And then you were a major in college for theater also.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Did you have? Is that your vision of your life?
It
The stage.
Well, the thing that was interesting, we talked about this a little bit earlier in looking through the photographs, because there are some pictures of different plays, that kind of thing. And there was one called Rock and Roll Days. And when I was doing that play, it had the rock and roll band. And I just started hanging out with the musicians then, and it was interesting. It was like I found my tribe. I've been playing music ever since. I really didn't do theater once I got out of college, the acting part of it.
Yeah.
I did technical work, and so I was at Ruby Diamond on the stage crew for 4 years.
Oh,
and,
wow.
did that kind of stuff, but I just kept playing music and didn't really get into doing theater anymore.
Yeah, okay.
So-
Well, we share a little bit of something there, because
Okay.
when I was in high school, I was in community theater. Never in the school system itself, but I did community theater, and I was a tech. One time on stage in theater, and I played the Dr. Macbeth during a class, and I immediately learned that this was not my not where I was going to be. It's like, line please. But like you, I was a tech. And I enjoyed the heck out of
Yeah.
it. Backstage in the dark during the play. So after you got out of college, you stayed in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
Okay, and you've been here the rest of the time.
No, but when I got settled, for a while it was just kind of like, okay, I've moved and for a while I just felt like I wanted to be here. And then as I got a little older and et cetera, it was a time where I just thought, I have never chosen to move before. My parents moved and you just went with them.
Yeah, right.
And
right.
I just got the yearn to try some other things. And so I went literally on a sabbatical and took time off, and I went to Nashville for a while.
Oh,
and then
wow.
I moved to Atlanta, and I was there for 4 years.
And still doing music, all
And-
these places.
I'm doing music, but also doing IT work, because that was what I had ended up doing for money.
Oh,
and
British say your proper
and
job.
my proper job. And so I ended up getting a Novell engineering IT position, and ended up coming back to Tallahassee. And then once I got back, it was like, okay, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I'm not doing it anymore. And then I've been here in Tallahassee since I got back in '99, I think it was.
Okay, great.
So-
Well, we got to ask the question.
Okay.
Who turned you on to music? Was somebody in your family, or was it somebody outside you that circle?
It was primarily family, because again, we moved so much, as far as, but I just remember that there was a piano at the house, and I would bang on it, and that was my initial interest in it. And then as I got a little bit older, my oldest sister for a while was singing in a group that they had in her school that was called the Denims.
Oh.
And then it started that hootenanny era of things.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
so I remember going to hear one of their shows, and I just was smitten with the harmony, and it just really appealed to me. And there was not a lot of always going to church, but as a preacher's kid, you have to go to all kinds of things.
Amen.
Amen. And so I sang in church, not so much in the choir per se, but just and so there was music on that steady basis, no matter
Yeah.
where. And sometimes when my dad would come home, the ships that they'd have the services on the board of the ship, and I loved going to those because
Really?
They had a little piano that they would bring out, and you could look out and see especially in Key West, that was just great.
Wow. Okay. Well, I got to share this with you also.
Okay.
My grandfather was a Baptist preacher in Tennessee.
Okay.
So we have a little kindred spirit here. My mom was a PK. So,
Okay.
so I lived with that my whole life. Granddaddy, Preacher Glass is what they called him, in Elizabethton, Tennessee. So we do share that.
And I do have I have 2 older sisters, and then my younger brother has always been. My dad loved classical music.
Oh.
And that's primarily what we listened to. He wanted the stereo in his room where he could close the door, And
Wow.
if we would, be nice, we could go in there sometimes and listen to the records. But it was just, that was his sanctuary. And,
Wow.
But he always had classical music going on. And my brother ended up going to school in classical music and got his PhD in classical music performance.
Excellent.
And he teaches at Clayton State College, just south of Atlanta now,
Oh.
and teaches. And,
Some of that rubbed off on you, that training?
well, I probably shouldn't tell this story, but
Hey.
my brother and I just had totally different interests, and I used to get irritated with him because when he talked about what I was doing, he would always refer to it, and he'd kind of go, pop music. And he would disagree that the emphasis on that, but it was just kind of like I just would bristle a little bit,
No, yeah.
but
Viewed you as a vaudevillian.
so, and I didn't I said he didn't get all the talent in the family, but he got all the discipline.
Oh, is the
'Cause-
oldest?
He's the youngest.
Oh, the youngest.
And the only
The
boy.
only male.
Oh,
The only
oh,
man. That's
oh,
right.
okay.
But he, just serious and just fabulous. And,
Wow.
but I'm a little bit more,
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll show tunes.
there you go.
Oh, show tunes. You brought some pictures with you today, so we want to take a
Okay.
look at these. And you said that you started music at a young age,
Mm.
and I think this suggests that.
Yeah, that was my grandmother's piano, and we ended up, as many times as we moved, they always packed up that piano and took it someplace else and someplace else, and
Check out the TV up on the top.
Oh
there.
yeah.
then the
Yeah.
radio
The
underneath
radio.
it.
Look
Yeah.
at that. That was a serious radio back then.
Well, Saturday night you listen to the Shadow.
And I of course don't remember this. I asked my sister. I said, "Where was this?" And she said, "That was Norfolk." And she said, She said maybe 3 years old.
Norfolk, Virginia, yeah, the Navy shipyard. And this is your sisters, your cohort?
Yes. My oldest sister was, she loved being very theatrical, and it was interesting in that I was the one that ended up going into theater, but she would do costumes, and she would make us all play the parts and all this kind of stuff, and make everybody sit down and watch her play.
Oh, okay. Can you? Who's
She's
who?
the one in the middle.
Oh, okay. And she's the. I'm guess she's the eldest.
She's the oldest.
Yeah.
And then my sister on the other side there, and then I'm the one with the cross-eyed, being goofing around and
But she
everything.
straightened out her eyes later on.
yeah.
But I like the dresses. Was this a play or something? It almost looks period.
It was not. My mother was an excellent seamstress, and she pretty much sewed all of our clothes. And as a preacher's wife, she also wanted to make sure that we looked great on Sundays and all this other kind of stuff.
Oh,
But she did a
yeah.
lot of matching clothes, and later in life, she had an heirloom sewing business where she would do christening gowns and all this, tatting and
Real
and,
fine
and,
needlework.
smocking and that
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah,
And
yeah.
she was fastidious, and I
Great.
did not get that gene.
Okay. Well, who are these folks now?
This is the family again, and that's my mom passing my brother his first birthday. This is in Key West, and this is the family, and then I'm the short little girl there, and my middle sister is in the middle there, and my oldest sister is the one leaning over and blowing out the candle.
Very cool. You had base
And-
housing and
We did that particular when we first moved there. That was a regular house. When we moved back to Key West, we lived on base housing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did some stint with the Coast Guard, so I'm a little bit familiar
Mm-hmm.
with that type of life. And this next shot looks like you're a little bit older.
Yeah, that's my middle sister Elaine,
Mm-hmm.
and she's the artist. She's the one that can draw and paint, and she's very quiet, and but she can do just amazing things artistically.
Yeah, you all have these different skill sets.
Yeah, it's
you're
amazing.
you're
It's like
you're kind of
family.
virtual since you
Mm-hmm.
do computer stuff, obviously, and then you're performing. You're a performing artist, and you've got the visual artist.
I
Then
think
you-
sometimes when you have all those kids there, you try to figure out who's getting the attention, and it's like, okay, well, they've got that covered. I'll do this.
I see. Okay. Where was this taken at? This shot?
That was at a photo booth in, let's see, that would have been probably in Beaufort, South Carolina.
Oh, okay. Great.
We were, again, my dad, Paris Island,
Yeah.
and we lived in Laurel Bay, just outside of.
Oh, I like
the
that place.
military
Yeah,
housing
we've
and-
been there.
yeah.
That's nice. Now, this looks like obviously theater.
This is theater, and
I'm trying to figure out which one you are. I'm thinking you're the young lady on the bottom right.
Right. Mhm.
Okay.
and I hesitate a little bit because Jab Wilson is the guy, the tall guy, second from the. I'm trying to.
On the left.
The second from the left there, and he and I were theater people together, and then I moved away, and he ended up being a musician as well, more theater than music, and he passed recently.
Oh, okay.
And,
Sorry. He's a
and
young
so,
man.
But at any rate, briefly, we lost track of each other, and years later, my friend Del Suggs has been doing stuff at the warehouse for years at that time, and
Yeah.
And he was there getting ready to have a duo come and play before him, and it was Jab Wilson and Spencer Boren, and Jab walks into the green room at the warehouse, and he sees a poster, and he sees my name on it.
Oh, wow.
And he walks out to the first person that he sees out there, and walks over to Dell and said, "Do you know Mimi Hearn?" And Dell goes, "Yeah, she's on my album." And and so that's how we reconnected, because it was interesting. We'd not seen each other for literally decades, and
Yeah.
we both had gone into different music areas and stayed steady on that, and that's how we reunited. And
What brought him to Tallahassee? I missed that part.
he had moved to Destin,
Oh, okay.
and there is a place that's in Destin called the Zoo Gallery,
Okay.
and his brother and sister-in-law, and he's not with the Zoo Gallery, or he was not with the Zoo Gallery when he passed, but at any rate, they had that business together, and he lived in Destin,
Oh,
and
and he just happened to stroll up to Tallahassee.
and he was touring with Spencer Boren, and they went on to Europe and did a lot of stuff together, and he also was in Destin and had a group called the Underdogs, and
Wow.
but at any rate,
Small world, isn't it?
small world.
I mean, yeah, because you go from Beaufort to Tallahassee. It's like, well, you
Yeah.
don't get there unless by chance,
Yeah, so-
Okay, this looks a little bit later in life.
Yeah, this is a musical called Rock and Roll Days, and I mentioned it a little bit earlier, and that I was in the play as the actress, et cetera, and here are the guys in the pit that are playing rock and roll music. I mean, it was full-fledged band, and that's where I met Ray Brooks and Jimmy Green and some of those folks, and I would it just was weird that when I get done with the actual working on stage kind of thing, I just would gravitate and hang out with the musicians, and,
Yeah,
and
right.
I was just like, okay, this feels
Feel comfortable
this
here.
feels good.
It's a nice crowd.
It's a nice crowd. So, and so that was our show.
Okay, it's a little bit later in life, or
This is another theater scene.
this looks dramatic. I hate
It
to
was
say.
in this particular one. It's just the scene of, and I'm playing Blanche Dubois in Streetcar Named Desire.
Oh, okay.
And in this particular one, it was just a scene, and then one of the directors was watching me in this scene, and then he cast me as Stella on the main stage.
Is that the one where they go, Stella?
So again, I did theater, and
Okay. Was that a scene you did just as a study, like in a class or something?
we were doing one act of Streetcar Named Desire as a scene for one of our classes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I
And,
thought when you
yeah.
said it was a scene
Scene,
study.
right.
Very
So-
good. Now, this next one looks like, is this a tour bus?
Yeah.
In ways, yes, it is. This is kind of going into another group. We were talking about kind of different groups that I had been in, and one of the first groups that I got involved with in Tallahassee was a group called the Rolling Mothers, and so it had a motley crew from time to time. I mean, different people would be a rolling mother, and at first it was all women, and
This makes sense.
and then later on it was a situation where, you know, it wasn't, that was just how we got together, and it wasn't like, okay, we're only going to be women. And so when the woman who was the bass player at the with the Rolling Mothers to begin, fabulous bass player, upright bass, and she moved on to another. She went to New Orleans, and then we got a guy in the bass. I mean, in the band. And at first, it was Bill McGuire was the person that came in and played bass.
Okay.
He didn't play upright, but he played bass. And so, Bill McGuire's been somebody that I've been associated with in different bands.
Yeah, when I was looking at your Facebook page, and I said Bill McGuire from early till now.
Yeah, and that's right.
That's like a common thread going through the whole thing.
Yeah,
You know?
and so we met in the 70s, and when and then there's another picture that's out there that we had that particular group then ended up adding horn sections at times. Sometimes, you know, it just sort of was. Now this is us playing at the Down Under, and by that time here's Bill McGuire playing bass, Vito's playing piano. I'm drawing a blank on the lady that's playing saxophone, and then Kenny West is playing guitar on the next to Carol Knox there.
Okay.
And this was at the Florida Flambeau, December 3rd, 81, and the Down Under was Down Under back then.
Oh.
And
I played that place many times.
yeah.
Have I been? Is that a bar where you kind of go down a side street and entrance doors on the side?
This is what's on campus, and the Down Under's
Oh.
still on campus.
Oh,
But
okay,
now it's
okay.
upstairs, but it was literally like an area that was in front of the cafeteria.
Oh,
And so
okay.
it smelled like food and.
Okay, let's take a look at this one. This looks.
This was early Rolling Mothers. So that was
Oh.
the band when we first got together. And,
Very cool. Well, you probably did some great harmonies.
We had some fun singing harmonies.
Yeah, I can only imagine so.
And Amy, that's all the way to the left here, she was one of the people that wrote a lot of the songs that we did. And
I'm guessing you're in the middle?
I'm in the middle.
Okay, all right. Now, can we identify any of these people?
And again, these are the Rolling Mothers, and I have to give a shout out to Bob O'Leary, because Bob O'Leary took a lot of photos of me over the years in different venues, etc. But he had a lady friend that was in this group for a while too. So, but I met him back in that era of time, and we played a lot at Winkles.
I wanted to raise my hand, teacher, because this looks like Winkles.
Yeah.
When I first came to Tallahassee, I didn't even live here. I was here with my wife and children, and we went out to Winkles one night, and there's this guy in like a corner stage like that, and he's got a chef's outfit on. He's stirring this big pot, and they're playing. I don't know if they were playing blues at the time, but I do remember that, and I enjoyed it so much. I got a poster of him, and he signed it and everything, and I still got it. And I thought, now that I know who he is and I've been around for a while, I think I'm going to frame it and put it up.
There you go.
Let's take a look at this next one here.
And again, this is the Rolling Mothers, and John Massigale, he sat in with us on this particular gig, and we got Bill McGuire over there looking all tropical.
Yeah, right. Where's this? Do you know where this at? It's Down Under. It looks
I
down
just
under something.
It's not the Down Under.
I think it was at a club called Rumors at the time. I think that's where that's taken at.
Now here's a shot, this next one that I saw on Facebook, and I said, that's a young Mimi playing bass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we
You guys-
swapped instruments. And there's a couple other times that, or it might be some other pictures where I'm playing bass. Sometimes, this was at, San Francisco Trolley is what that place was called. Now it's the
Oh.
fourth quarter, I think now.
Oh, I know the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Okay. So that
right.
was an earlier era of that.
Okay.
But yeah, we'd switch around, and if he had written some of the songs, he would prefer to play acoustic guitar and sing.
Oh yeah, he gets the feeling.
You know,
you see your finger picker.
And then I would play bass on
Okay.
those songs.
I have to ask John, did you take this shot? Because we had a debate about this one night.
No, that was not one
we were
of
looking
mine.
through stuff.
Uh-huh.
Now this is a social picture, obviously, but
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Bill was the bass player in the band.
Uh-huh. And then Howard Rubin is the one that's to the far left,
This
and
is Howard
he is in
Rubin, okay.
Moondance with me and Bill, and started playing, and we did a bunch of stuff at Bullwinkles too.
I met him at that party I told you about. It was in the
Okay.
kitchen, and you all were playing. That's the only time.
okay.
It's the only time I never met him. I think he had a little lighter hair by the
Uh-huh.
time I met him. What's this one about?
So this is
oh,
us
Moondance.
playing Moondance at Bullwinkles,
Wow.
and
I haven't been there in a long time.
I haven't
gotta,
been there in a long time. But I'm telling you, for a while, for me in Tallahassee, that was the fun place to go on Friday. You know,
Yeah.
being a state worker and everything, you go to happy hour there, and early in that era, people could bring their kids and their dogs and that kind of stuff, and then somebody litigated that was
Oh,
out of
that's
the
a-
picture as
that's
far
a
as
shame.
having that much fun.
Yeah.
But, the beer garden was this time frame. Like I said, people get off work on Friday and go down there, and then it was right as soon as happy hour was over, it would just this whole different crew of people, just the age group and all the kind of stuff would change, and
His shift change.
It would shift change, exactly.
Yeah, right.
And
Different ship coming through.
so
Well, when I played in bands in Detroit, you do your first set and then you finish, and everybody would get up and leave, and a whole new group of people would come in. So it was shift change. Everybody was changing bars for different bands.
and at Bullwinkles they had the beer garden outside, obviously, and then they had a band inside too, and they would start playing right as happy hour was ending, in the beer garden, and then if you stayed and played longer, you always had to look for this light to change so that you knew when to switch over, and so that it would be smooth, and that the bartenders could make money, and
Right.
when they that kind of stuff.
Right.
So
Right, okay.
it was a trip.
Well, yeah, let's talk to this one. This looks like the American Legion.
It is, and this is Moondance as we got older,
Yeah.
and we've
Matured is the word I use.
there you go. As we become seasoned professionals.
Yeah, that's right. Experienced.
Such proper accent there.
And again, Bill McGuire, and
Uh-huh.
this is on the far end.
That's Howard Rubin.
Howard Rubin again. Okay, very good.
And this is Moondance. We've just recently added Paul Boyle. He also plays with Bill and a lady named Susan David. When they play together, it's called Low Country Boyle, with Boyle being the
I think I saw you guys. I think I saw you on the front porch at the plantation
Tomato
behind.
Feast.
Yeah.
That's what this picture
Okay,
is.
okay.
And,
I knew I
this
saw
has
you
been
guys.
just recently, and I'm playing Glockenspiel in there. So
Glockenspiel. What
Glockenspiel.
is a Glockenspiel? Sounds German.
it is, and this particular instrument,
Is this the one that looks like a xylophone or something here?
it's basically laid out like a xylophone. With the Glockenspiel part of it is that this is a band instrument, and so it's the kind that back in the day it has a lyre shape on it.
Oh, and they would.
And you hold it and you play with the other hand, and now they've pretty much gotten rid of that, and they have a flat, small xylophone that they can
okay.
use both hands to. But in the day,
Well, I remember seeing them hold it up and playing
Right.
it, and that's a
and that's a
Glockenspiel.
Glockenspiel, and I loved. I'm trying to change my ways, but I loved going out junking and finding stuff and everything.
yeah.
And so I had gone to one of the swap meets that was in the Union Green area, and I had not seen anything I particularly cared about, and I was getting ready to leave, and as I was walking away, this lady pulled up her car and she started taking things out of her car, and she had that Glockenspiel but in a canvas bag that was sewn around, and I could tell by the shape of it what it was.
Yeah.
And I had a small one, just a little small xylophone that I was playing with the Rolling Mothers, and I thought, oh man, I want that. And I started making my way across the Union Green. And just about the time I got up there, this woman reached over and she picked it up.
Oh.
And there's that law in the garage sale world: if you've got your hand on it, it's yours. You know?
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I just about got in there, and I just walked over to her and says, "I want that, and I can play the hell out of it." And she just kind of took it like, "Get away from the crazy woman." And she goes, "Here." She goes, "I was just wondering what it was." And it had the band tassels, and I mean the whole thing.
Okay, let's take a look at this one now. This is the Hearn Dogs.
Because Mimi and the Hearn Dogs is another one of these that it's had a lot of changes in it. It started out as a trio. Actually, it started out as a duo. Mike Pilecki is the original Hearn Dog.
Oh, is he in the picture here?
He is not in that picture.
Okay.
For a while, he moved to Miami, and so there were a few years where he wasn't in town, and then he
Okay.
moved back. And
Can
so-
you identify the people in this picture?
Yes. Got Mark Blair all the way to the left, playing drums.
Oh, sitting on the drums. Okay.
Yeah, and then Kevin Robertson next, then myself, then Mike Snelling, upright bass, Sonny Dunaway, Dick Kraft, and Frank Graham.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now, I've always been told that Mark was the drummer, but I never saw him play the drums, except for the timbale,
Right,
you know, in front of the
Good
band.
drummer,
But
good drummer.
that's what everybody says.
Good singer, too.
That's what,
So,
that's what everybody says.
yeah.
Let's take a look at this next one. It's a little more updated.
This is an earlier shot in that Pilecki was not in Miami at this time, the guy playing harmonica there.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the original Hearn Dog, and he, like I said, he and I played as a duo, and we got into the Florida Folk Festival as a duo initially, and when we actually were getting ready to go and be in the festival, we were at the festival, we found out that instead of, I was thinking we'd never been there before, they'd put us somewhere out in the middle of nowhere kind of
Right.
and they ended up putting us on this, they put us in this slot on the main stage
Oh.
because I won't get into my conjecture on why, but at any rate, so we ended up being on the main stage, and I looked at it being on the schedule and I thought, oh man, we need to flesh this out a little bit. And Mike Snelling was playing in another group, and he was already at the festival, you know, and I asked, I said, can we add him since he's already here, you know, and they said, yeah, no problem. And so we added Snelling, and we get to the folk festival, and we're playing, and it's dark, and the lights are all, you know,
Oh, yeah, blinding.
they're blinding and all this other kind of stuff. And it really hadn't occurred to me that every insect in town's going to come around because of all the lights, the
Well,
bright
that's
lights,
possible.
and all this kind of stuff. So I'm playing, and I have this dress on, and I feel something land on my neck,
Ah.
and I can tell it's a moth.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, as long as it doesn't crawl down my dress, I'm okay. You know, 'cause it just kind of landed there, and I'm.
They don't bite, do
I
they,
hadn't missed the
moths?
beat
No.
and all this other kind of thing, and I looked over, and here's Mike Snelling playing upright bass with a big palmetto bug climbing down his arm, and he didn't miss a beat. And I went, "This is my guy."
That sounds professional.
Professional.
That's professional.
Yeah. Well, you know, these things happen. So the situation was you thought you were going to be low-key, laid back, and all of a sudden, boom, they
Boom.
kicked it all
There
up a
you go.
notch.
That's
So-
a very prestigious event too, Florida Folk Festival.
Yeah.
Very cool. And this is another shot. Is same place?
No, this is at TCC, and at this one, Snelling's playing upright bass. I'm playing guitar. That's Kevin Robertson and Frank Graham.
Oh, okay. Okay. I like your outfit. That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it was cold. I
Well,
remember that because that's why Kevin's got his hat on. And
Legend of Tallahassee. I know I keep saying that, but it's true. I mean, the whole time I've been here, been visiting, everybody say that name, and boom, everybody knows exactly who I'm talking
can't
about.
get rid of me.
Yeah.
So-
Mimi was just talking about the Florida Folk Festival, and apparently you've got a milestone you hit, and I wanted to catch that on the interview, what that milestone was.
Oh, okay. So this last year is the 20th year of being in the folk festival.
That's unbelievable.
Now it was virtual, you know, but it was our 20th year.
It's
Wow,
pretty amazing.
I
It's
think
very
it's-
prestigious to be in that festival.
Well, I would
It's hard to
think
get a
so.
spot.
I would think so.
Yep.
Now I got to ask a question of
Okay.
you. because it seems like everybody's playing games with words anymore these days. So when you say folk music, what are we talking about these days?
I'm not the best person to ask this because I think it's just kind of vague, and some people are very distinct about what they think folk music is.
Right.
And I'm not the best person to categorize it, because to me it's like it's kind of all folk music in some ways. I mean, so I'm going to kind of shy away from answering.
I know what you mean, because Pete Seeger obviously had his idea what folk music
Right.
was. Arlo Guthrie had his. Crosby, Stills, Nash. I don't know if they considered themselves folk rock or what.
And I probably reveal my ignorance if I tried to elaborate more, like what is old time music. I mean, that kind of thing. It just.
It's an evolving thing.
It's an evolving thing, and Americana now is another label that's been, when people talk about what kind of music do you play?
I have to tell a story here about that.
Okay.
Some young person, they asked me what I played, and I said, well, I play Americana,
Mm-hmm.
and he was talking, and he said, oh, you play some Dave, was it Dave Mathis or Joe, what's that, Jack Johnson? And I said, oh, wait a second, I'm sorry, I play classic Americana.
But
So-
it is interesting because, and it's, I was starting to get off on this, but I probably shouldn't. But one of the things is that I didn't really think about it so much back in the day. One of the things that they wanted to do was to be able to compartmentalize people, because they wanted where they put it in the record bin. Back when it was the set, and so that's why you had classical music and you had folk and you had this and that and the other, and part of that reasoning of wanting to categorize it so distinctly was how they could put it in the bin in the record stores.
Yeah.
And I'd never really thought about that, and so I think it really, it just, people aren't that distinct.
Well, they're not. When I think of folk music, of course, originally I would have thought of Pete Seeger as being folk music or someone in that area. And then we started playing folk music in high school and college and stuff, sitting around. But we were playing Paul Simon and Joni Mitchell and stuff like that.
Right.
And they were still kind of thought of as folk
Right.
music. So that's why I have to ask people sometimes, like, what do you mean when you say folk music? Because I don't know what some things are anymore.
Yeah, and likewise.
Yeah,
and,
I think Americana is that bleed over.
And, to me, I do a mix of folk and blues and country. And, some people, it's been interesting because they'll say, no, I don't want you to do any country music. And you go, okay, well, and then you find out what they're thinking of as country music is they don't want you to be playing anything on an acoustic guitar. To them, if you're playing, and that's like, okay. So you'll find out what different people are asking about, and everybody's got like a little bit different take on it. So I'll just leave it at that.
So do you mind if I play some John Mellencamp? Oh yeah, that's okay. Okay, we'll give him my acoustic guitar. Or who else? Even Neil Diamond, Kings of Pop. He plays the acoustic guitar all the time. Yeah. So you can't really use the instrumentation as a guide for what you're going to be. Because God knows I probably play probably a third of the set of our evening set on acoustic, backed up by the electronics.
Right.
But the acoustic has that really, really great natural tone and sound that you can't get out of electric. And pedals don't do it either. You got to have an acoustic guitar. Period. Paragraph. Let's take a look at this this next group here.
And this is the Hearn Dogs again. This is at the folk festival.
Now you got a pretty steady group here. It looks like we've seen them over time with you.
Yes, and Pilecki again is the one all the way to the left, the original Hearn Dog, and then I'm there in the middle. I got Mike Snelling playing bass, Frank Graham on guitar, and Kevin Robertson on guitar.
That's a blessing, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, and I always talk to people and I say, hey, being in a band's like dating.
It is like dating.
I mean, and if you get a steady, steady date, that's pretty remarkable. So it looks like you've been with these folks for a while.
Yeah. And sadly, Mike Snelling is no longer with us. So Mark Patton has been playing bass with the Hearn Dogs.
Oh, okay. I know Mark.
Yeah.
Very good.
Excellent player as well.
In guitar as well. So he can switch up.
And so now technically, the Hearn Dogs are Mark Patton on bass, Frank Graham, and then Ken Gimmer has been playing guitar with us. Now, but he hasn't been with us long enough to actually do something that's live. You know, we haven't gone to the folk festival.
Yeah,
with him
right,
yet.
right.
So he's going to be our new Hearn dog.
Okay,
So-
well, and this looks like Mark Payton here.
And yeah, he's playing upright bass, and that's Kevin Robertson, me singing, and Frank Graham.
Excellent. And you got drums too here? Who's on drums? That's not
I
Mark,
can't-
is it? The guitar player, the acoustic guitar player is.
I think that drummer was from a band that was getting ready to come on. Because this was at the Junction,
Oh, okay.
and
Okay.
I think it was more than one band that night.
I'm not going to
can't
do a
see that.
plug, but we're getting ready to do our 10-year anniversary party on December at the Junction.
All right.
I've been surprised. I can't believe I've been with these guys 10 years. It's holy cow. This looks like the Thursday food truck.
Yeah, Food Truck Thursday, and this is Mark Patton, Kevin Robertson, myself, and Frank Graham.
You got a different look. I said, where are you? Which one are you?
Well, I got the hat on, so.
Yeah, that's a great
Now,
look. I like that.
Also, this is not a Hearn Dogs thing. This happens a lot of times too, because they have their own group that's called Sawmill Jam,
Uh-huh.
and Kevin's moved away, and so Ken Gimmer started with Sawmill Jam,
Mm-hmm.
and and I just was sitting in with them on that one. So
Okay, very cool. Let's take a look and see what this is. This is, let me guess, Blue Tavern.
yes,
All right.
and this is pretty much Sawmill Jam, but they added me and Julie Couch as playing drums back there, and
Okay.
for a while that was Bedhead Betty. She and Frank Graham, and they had a whole. I mean, I won't get off on everybody's name because I'll
Yeah.
make it wrong, but
Yeah.
just another wonderful band. You know, just that people moved away, and bummer.
Yeah, I mean, it happens, doesn't
Yeah.
it? You know,
And this picture, this is I like this picture a lot because this is the Hearn Dogs, and this is at the Monticello Opera House, and
Okay.
this is one of my favorite venues to play at. The
Yeah.
acoustics are just
yeah,
fabulous,
yeah.
and I really enjoy going and playing there, and it's been a while too, you know,
Yeah.
because the COVID has just messed with more than
Yeah, the missing year.
yeah
That's what I call
going
it.
on into two now. So.
When I was in college, I had missing weekends, but now this is a
Yeah,
missing
so-
year.
Whole year of it.
This was our promo shot for quite a while. And Kevin Robertson playing guitar, Mike Pilecki standing behind me playing harmonica. I'm playing guitar in that. Frank Graham and Mike Snelling.
Okay.
And as I said, this was our promo shot for a while. And just as an added sort of statement, I've ended up playing duos with Frank Graham, just the two of us, and I've also done duos with just Pilecki and myself. And
Oh, okay. Very good.
you know, so this is me on the cover Limelight with Velma Fry.
Okay.
And Velma Fry and I have never played music together, but the thing about this was an article that they were doing on the problems of a musical career, and that's what it says here on the Limelight.
Oh.
So I was honored to be one of the people that they chose to be in this shot. And Pam Laws was going to make it, and I can't remember what the deal was, but something happened. She did not. She was supposed to be in the picture as well. But at any rate, the thing that is, I was so excited. I'm on the, it's like
Well,
cover of Rolling
yeah,
Stone
yeah,
kind
I
of
would
thing,
be,
you know.
yeah.
And so I'm going to be on the cover of the Limelight, and I had just quit my day job to go and play music.
Oh, wow.
And there was the cover, The Problems of the Musical Career.
Yeah.
And then you open it up, and the main article in the inside has "Don't quit your day job." And I was all ready to show it to my parents, and you know, and then I was
Don't
like,
quit your
"Don't quit
day."
your day job."
Well,
So
you know, sometimes you got to jump in, or
Yeah.
you'll never know if
So-
you don't. You know, we had a young man playing with us this past weekend, and everybody says, "Well, he's just in high school," and I said, "Well, but he's getting to that point to where either you jump in the pool,
Yep.
or you don't." You know, and you got to do it when you're young enough, you know, so that if you lose a few years, it's not going to
Yeah.
kill you.
Yeah.
You know, right now, well, I'm getting to the point I could jump in the pool again too once you retire.
There you go.
All three of us are ready for that.
There you go.
Okay, now who are these folks here?
That's when I jumped into the pool.
Okay.
So these are the guys that I played with in a group called Break of Day, and I played, did the 6 night a week thing at that time, and
wow.
this was back when the drinking age was still younger, and we had gigs and we played a lot, and we did some touring. We worked for the Ramada Inn for a while and did some things along the coast and down at Slidell, Louisiana, and stuff like that. But at Ramada Inns, because they had the different lounges and got an agent that was booking people to do that, and so we did some things on the the Forgotten Coast, and then further into Louisiana.
Yeah. So, did you ever go up towards Charleston at all?
No.
Okay.
But at any rate, so I did that for a while with those guys, and then the drinking age changed again, and then it was just kind of like a lot of the kids, they couldn't go out.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just said, we don't have the money, we're not making the money that we were making before, and my job was like going away, and I was like, okay, well, I'll go back to my state job.
You got to play 6 nights a week to make enough money
Exactly.
to feed yourself in this
Yep.
gig,
Yep.
Can you identify these people?
Let's see. Okay, Ron Kay is in the white T-shirt, and his last name is, I think, Kiyakowski is the real name, but he goes by Ron Kay. Just as easier. And Curtis Heitman is above him, and then I'm in the center. Hal Newman is to the upper right, and Les, I cannot think of Les's last name. I'm drawing a blank. I apologize, but. He replaced David Webb. For a while, David Webb was the keyboard player. And then when we decided we were going to get a professional shot, because we were going to start taking stuff on the road.
Right.
And this is, I played in a duo with Marilyn Falsiglia, and she's now Marilyn Goldsmith. But we played together for 10 years easily. And as a duo, and we added different people at different times, just to enhance what we were doing and everything.
Right.
But just real quickly, the way that we met each other was I have a good friend, Bert Davey, and he was dating Marilyn, and we were at a party, and he walks up with his arm around her and walks over to me and says, "You should sing with her." And that's where we met, and we obviously, he knew something that we would work well together and everything, and so we played, and again we played a lot at Bullwinkles and other places too. But
you had very complimentary voices.
we really had very complimentary voices, and I'm saying that I was so spoiled, because I just thought that it was that easy for people to sing harmony. And because she could sing lead and she could sing harmony, I could sing lead, I could sing harmony, we could trade back and forth. I can count on one hand how we ever had to even work something out, because it just worked. And then when she moved away and I started, no offense to other people, but it was like you just learn how rare that fluidity is.
It's totally rare.
And we had very different timbres in our voice and range, and it worked. So.
Very rare. Very few times in life have I found somebody I vocally clicked with. Very rare. Other times you just have to work out the parts, and do it until it gets smooth, And
I found other people that I sing with, but just that immediate. When we first tried it out with the first song, we were going, okay, this is going to work. Just knew it, and so that was. And this is me singing with Pierce Pettis at the Warehouse. This is quite an older picture, obviously, but Pierce Pettis was, and still to this day, is one of my favorite singer-songwriters. And while I was playing guitar at that time, he made me want to be a better guitar player, because he's just so good. And so I did at one point in time end up doing some recording with him. I was on an album called Tinseltown with him, and got to go to LA and do some recording out there. It was a Windham Hill album at the time, or contract that Pierce was with, and so I was on Tinseltown, and I I learned a lot of things. And one of them is that I had never gotten that elaborately involved in studio work, you know, and so you get there and you've just done your harmony part, and then the guy goes, okay, now we're doubling it, and now we're tripling it, and you're going, what? I mean, I was just so green. I can't imagine why they even brought me, but they did, so I took advantage of it.
One of the worst things, you think, that was a great performance. Yeah, it was good. Let's do it again. You know? Yeah. And after the 30th time, you're like, huh.
But you got to get all the nuances just so, and it's hard. I really have a respect for when I hear somebody saying that they are a recording artist, because I really believe that's its own.
It's an art.
Yeah.
Because it's like the
artist.
camera. The camera doesn't lie, you know. I mean, and when they record your voice, it doesn't lie either, you know. There's a friend of mine used to say he had a recording studio, and he had a big knob over here, and he had a piece of tape under it, and it said talent. And it was the reverb knob.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. What do we I know this young man.
Yeah, and that's Del Suggs, and I met Del at Radcliffe's. And I also met Pierce at Radcliffe's, and Del really had just a huge impact on me in that he heard me and just immediately was just very encouraging. And he's just, to this day, he's just one of the nicest people on the planet. Yeah. And he gave me a lot of opportunities to sing with him, and then. And again, just years later, we're still friends, and that was from the Almost Christmas show a couple of years back, and then they don't have them obviously at the warehouse anymore. And
well, what's going on there? Not to digress here, but I'm just curious. Do you know what's going on at the warehouse?
I have no idea. The building's still there, but I don't know.
Yeah, I was playing down at the Oyster City a few weeks ago, and I saw the warehouse, and I go, what's going on over there? You know, because they're basically using their parking lot. Right. And I'm told that parking lot sold for student housing. Okay. I'm thinking, well, we're out of student housing in this town. Yeah. So I just wonder what was going on. Yeah. Okay. And this looks like quite an event.
And this is now where the Almost Christmas event happens, and this is Theater Tallahassee.
Oh, very nice.
And that's, I'm trying to think. And Pierce is in the middle, and then I'm going to make a. Do you want me to go through all the people or not?
Yeah, why not? Because that's I would not have known that was Pierce. The other picture was taken a few years ago.
Was way earlier. So all the way to the left is Warren Sutton, and he and Jerry Thigpen. Okay. And then Pete Winters playing bass. That's Pierce in the middle. Then Del Suggs. Then back behind Del, excuse me, is Mike Sauter, who used to live here in town. This Rick's Oyster Bar back in the day. Great harmonica player, good guy. And that's Danica Winter, and then myself on the end. And
excellent. Now, where this was performed where? What was the place?
Theater Tallahassee.
I don't know where that is.
That used to be called the Little Theater or what?
Oh, okay, the Little Theater. Right. I know where that's at.
Theater Tallahassee now.
Oh, okay. Okay, very good.
And this is me and Howard Rubin. And again, he's another person that sometimes we're in Moondance, and sometimes we get together and we're playing as a duo. And this time we're getting ready to play with Jim Crozier at Bird's Aphrodisiac Oyster Shack. And,
so you got some history with this guy.
Yeah.
From what I've seen from all these pictures.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great thing, though. You feel comfortable with somebody.
Just good guys. I mean, and again, how long we played music with each other. And I do have to give a shout out, because both of those guys have wonderful wives who have put up with me for a long time. Yeah. I mean, you know.
No, I understand.
It makes life a whole lot easier.
It's like
when they'll put up with you.
When the guys leave practice, I say, "Now be sure to thank your wives tonight for letting you be here." And when I see them, I say, "Hey, thank you, for giving us this person." Yeah, because quality family life's huge. It's really important. So every time I can steal their time away, I feel good about it.
And they are family to me. So.
Okay, what do we have here?
This is the Blue Tavern, and I'm excited about that I'm going to be able to start singing there again. Gary Hamby asked me to sing with these guys. Now, you got Tom Longfellow on sax and Renee Arbogast on trumpet, and they are also in the Thursday Night Music Club. And so
We want to talk about that.
And I had just gotten, mesmerized by, it's one thing to sing with that big band behind you, but I had never been in a situation where you went to the practices with that big band.
Oh.
I'd never really been in that big band, situation. But then to go in and to sit and to listen to the rehearsals, I was just fascinated because I had never heard the pieces broken down. And Patrick Dunnigan is, the band leader and just fabulous, and does the arrangement. There's a lot of songs, but he would go, okay, I want to hear just the trumpets. Now I want to hear just the saxophone, that kind of thing.
All right.
And you could start hearing the pieces individually, and then start to have this absolute new, just incredible admiration for who charts this stuff and
That
puts
horns
it
blow me
together.
away.
And it just, my level of respect and just interest in it
Yeah.
changed a lot. And
Yeah.
so, but back to the picture. Those guys are playing horns, and that's Deb Berlinger playing drums. Carrie Hamby is, I think, in that picture, but behind me. But
Oh, on the piano?
Carrie Hamby picked the songs
Uh-huh.
because they were trying to do this particular era, and I loved it because I'm a preacher's kid, right?
Yeah.
And here she is, she's picking out these racy songs. And I would not have picked them out for myself and just been, like this ballsy woman out there shaking your finger and,
really? Okay.
And I have been having the best time doing that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just, but I was very surprised. It was like, this is a Ma Rainey tune, this is that kind of stuff. And just learning these.
Yeah.
And people love it. It's kind of like, almost like vaudeville, and
Well, I grew up on gospel, as a boy, and I was born in the Carolina mountains, so I grew up on gospel down there. But I've always wanted to do Fever with just the bass player.
Oh, I've gotten to do Fever with just the
Oh,
bass.
have you?
player.
Oh, I think that's the
And
one
I
cool
can,
thing.
I can do it well. I have to brag. I do a mean Patsy Cline too.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so
Okay. Now here we have. Oh, this is. Wait a second. Let me guess. Now is that Emmy Lou?
it is.
Okay.
Now this is a brief. I was on the first. Just as a passenger, I was on the first Cayamo cruise. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
No.
It's a cruise. They do a lot of different kinds now, but this was called. It is still called Cayamo: A Journey Through Song.
Oh.
And it's based towards songwriters. And so this was the first year that they did it, and she was on that cruise, and
Okay.
so I met her when I was there. And then quite some time later, I won't get into the whole thing, but I ended up being able to go to a dinner party where she was when I was in Nashville one time, and she is just the nicest person. I'm telling you, and we talked mostly about theater because she was a theater major.
Oh, no kidding.
And I was too. And instead of us talking about music, we were there talking about theater.
You didn't say, "Hey, I understand you have an opening in the group trio."
But just a wonderful, wonderful person. So just
Yeah, she's. I understand. My understanding, she's first call for backup harmonies, in Nashville. So you want somebody to do harmony, call her up.
yeah.
So let's talk about who these folks are.
This is actually just a party shot. I'm trying to think.
It's the kind of party I like to go to.
Yeah.
Right.
Peyton's here on the far right. This is Bo Lawrence playing fiddle.
Oh, okay.
Then Stuart Reardon is playing spoons, and then I'm playing guitar. And this is at her house. She has marvelous parties, and just folks get together and have fun.
Yeah, I started to do something with Bo one time, but it never really kind of worked out. I felt myself going into some John Mellencamp stuff, and I really wanted to get into that. And of course, I got to have a fiddle player to do a lot of that stuff, Just unfortunately, when you're putting a whole night of music together, you can only do so many of those.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you're John Mellencamp.
This is Sligo is in Ireland, and it's a sister city to Tallahassee.
Oh.
And in 2012, I was very lucky in that I got to go on tour with the Currys, and then I did the duo with Rick Ott and myself, and we went to Ireland.
Oh,
And,
what a blessing! Now, is that the Currys, that the young men that play here?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
They're out of Port St. Joe.
Okay.
2 brothers and a cousin.
Right.
And it's interesting in that Tommy I knew first because I met him at the Monticello Opera House at one of the shows that I was in, and he was but he played as a solo artist. And then as time went by, then he and his cousin played together. And then as time went by, then the younger brother, instead that as they grew up, but initially it was Tommy that I met first, and wonderful family. Mom and Dad did the driving. Their grandmother came. I mean, it was a group of folks that followed us around and joined us and played, and it was a really neat opportunity.
Yeah, I saw them play at the warehouse one night, and I thought these seem like really nice kids.
They are.
I mean, I hate to use the word kids, but
Yeah.
at a certain point in life.
But very nice people and good family, and just
And you
a lot of
toured.
fun.
You went to Ireland and toured with them.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And what's the one? Is that Germany? Is that another sister city?
Yeah, those are other German cities. I mean, other sister cities that are twinned with Sligo.
Well, I'll be son of a gun. I never knew that. Something people can learn from this video tonight too. What do we have here?
And there's the tour. One of the things I meant to get, and I'm amiss. One of my favorite moments is I was at a one pub, and that poster was on their wall, and as I went to take a picture of the poster, I looked, and right next to it, same size, but right next to it is this really cool poster, and they were getting ready to celebrate the 70th anniversary of their refrigerator.
Currently still servicing the
still
pub.
right there, and
Oh,
it was,
man.
and so here's the poster. It was, and then here's the picture that they're going to celebrate, and it's on the refrigerator.
Oh,
so the 70th anniversary of the.
Well, they keep
refrigerator.
everything over there,
No
don't
kidding.
they? I mean, they tear down the buildings, never throw out their refrigerators. Okay, and I feel like I should know Rick Ott for some reason.
Rick Ott is from the Heart Studios in Sopchoppy, and also an excellent player, and so he is the one that ended up. I have to tell this quick story because this is a story with Rick Ott too. Is that Mike Pilecki, the original Hearn dog? We were playing as a trio, and he at the warehouse was one of the places that we played, and he showed up at a rehearsal one night, and he said, "Hey Mimi, I booked us for our CD release party at the warehouse." I went, "Mike, we don't have a CD."
Yeah, right.
And he said, "I know. I booked that warehouse for our CD release party," and it was just kind of like, okay. And so long
Pressure's
story
on.
short, pressure's on. And it was just a trio at that time, and I knew Rick Ott, and I got in touch with him, and I said, can we record? And I said, this is going to be a quick one, and it's, we're going to come down there, and we're just going to do it. We're not going to be in separate rooms and track it and all
It's
this.
the best way.
And
Stand around a mic and sing.
yeah,
You know?
and
That
so
way you get
that's
your-
what we did, and then the only thing we added, we dubbed Frank Graham doing some guitar parts, and so we did our CD there, and I said in some ways it was a blessing in disguise because we got it done, and if it hadn't had that deadline to it, I would have probably nitpicked it to death.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
or it might never happen.
It might not
Sometimes
have
you're
ever
just forced
happened.
into a situation.
Definitely going to post some of those on the website so
Oh, okay.
people can go to her page and
Oh,
we'll have some of those
Oh,
songs
absolutely.
on there, some of those recordings.
Absolutely. So just I want to touch base real quick.
Okay.
Are you still with the Thursday Night Music Club?
I am not. I quit when their big fundraiser is in August, and that's when I was getting ready to tour with the Currys.
Oh, okay.
And so, that was when I kind of said, "Well, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah,
I
you're
can't
not
be with you."
available.
And then it's kind of like, and
Yeah.
I'd been doing it for a while. It was
Yeah.
time to
I was just impressed the night I met you there, and I thought, wow, these guys are really, since they go
Well,
out there and play with that big band, that was great.
I was very, very fortunate to sing with Candace. Well, she's Candace Christina, I think now, but fabulous singer, and she's moved. I think she's up in, I think she's in Delaware right now. But she was one of the major Disney cruise vocalists.
Oh,
And then, of course, all the COVID business happened, and so she's
Yeah.
trying to find other areas. But she's moved into an area, and it's very centrally located, and so she can go to all these different places. But
Right.
and
Did
so I
you
was
do-
very lucky to sing with her.
yeah, I don't want to digress, but did you do musical theater when you were in high school and college?
I didn't do musical theater.
Oh, okay.
And it's interesting because at the time that I was at FSU, it was not a big musical theater focus, and it has become quite so in later years. But
Yeah.
you know,
Well, the more I was thinking about the cruise ship situation. I was just thinking to myself, live band on a cruise ship, the light up and down.
Yeah.
It's floor show.
it is
And-
floor show. Yeah,
And I thought, wow, musical theater.
yeah.
Okay. Well, anything you want to talk about before we leave today? What's going on now with you?
Well, I'm like everybody else. I'm kind of coming up for air and
Yeah.
hoping things, stay steady enough that we can. I hesitate to use the phrase "get back to normal" because I don't think things are going to be. It'll be different. It won't. It'll be a different normal, I guess. But
Definitely will.
Well,
But,
it always is. I mean, after you get crushed by your first love, it's never quite the same again.
So,
There's a new norm.
so I'm looking forward to. I'm going to be doing one of the shows soon again back at the Blue Tavern, and the lineup's going to be a little bit different as far as. And I'm not exactly. I think Dick Kraft's going to be playing saxophone on this one, but at any rate, I'm going to get to sing some of my body songs again and play at Blue Tavern, and
Yeah.
I really enjoy the Blue Tavern because they do a wonderful job of bringing different people out of town, and also then giving a lot of the local people their time to shine, and
Yeah, right.
and they put a lot of emphasis on songwriting.
Well, I thought that there was a place down the street, on the other side of the street, that had moved from Cairo, not Cairo, but Havana.
Oh, you're talking about the Mockingbird.
Mockingbird, right? And I thought that was a nice stage, and it shut down. I said, well, what are they going to do? That was a great venue for
Well,
that.
I was incredibly fortunate because the Hearn Dogs had the Monday happy hour slot for 4 years.
Oh, really? Okay.
And that's part of the reason why the band could change so much, because when I talked Lori Ryan into actually letting me have that slot,
Right.
it was booked as a solo.
Oh,
Because she was just moving, and it was kind of like I don't even know whether I'm going to I don't know what I want to do. And how about Thursday? No. How about this? How about that? I just badgered her till okay, just you can have Monday. So I took Monday, and then I just started. Different people would come in. Hey, can I sit in? Can I sit in? Can I
Right.
sit in? And I mean, that's where I ended up sometimes having a horn section, and different people would come in and play, and
what kind of instrument do you like to play with the best? Because I've seen you have a saxophone almost all the time with all the different generations of this thing, and I love playing with the sax.
Yeah.
I think it's a blessing myself.
I love an upright bass.
Yeah.
And if I can have an upright bass, I'm a sucker for one.
Yeah,
My ideal thing would be like have an upright bass. I love having a saxophone, but then it's kind of like, well, then I got my harmonica buddy over here. I'll take lots of different things, and Mark Blair for a while played with us, and it was just fun to have percussion.
Yeah.
But in so many situations, you get into real estate when you're needing only so much room in a band. On a stage.
Oh, yeah, try and squeeze on.
And so I was lucky that for a while we had enough room to add a percussionist. And
Yeah. Yeah, I've got
So-
my 3 feet, 3 square feet, and I'm always worried about hitting something with my guitar head.
Yeah.
But I like to have all that flavor of instrumentation. The piano, the saxophone, the harmonica, the guitars.
Yeah.
It's a blessing. Now here's a question for you. Paul McCartney said it's a privilege to be in a band, and at first I wasn't sure. I thought, well, the guy's got all kinds of money, but he meant to be in a band, which means you're like family.
Yeah. I think it's a privilege to be in a band.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, it has enriched my life just incredibly.
Yeah.
And I can sing solo. I get bored fast with myself. That's part of it. It's just kind of like, and I'm a social person, and
Yeah.
so I can play solo. It's good for me. I should do it more often.
It
but
stretches you.
It stretches me.
Yeah.
And but I love being in a band, and
Yeah.
and I've enjoyed being in different ones too. Just from the standpoint of not only having had the opportunity to have done one style or whatever, but
Well, that stretches you too.
yeah.
Yeah, because different musicians, they'll pull you a different way, or they'll give you access to a different musical avenue you didn't have before.
And one thing too is you can't sing harmony by yourself.
Oh, gosh. Well, you can yodel.
Well,
No, you're right.
and I do. I love switching off. I love to sing the lead. But I also like to sing harmony, and
I was joking with that because I remember watching an interview with Ray Charles, and he says somebody asked him what his first gig was, and he said it was yodeling in a country western band.
yeah.
And he was serious.
Yeah.
And when you yodel, you actually hit that harmonic note in between. John, you got any questions?
No, I'm just, really happy that you were able to come to our
Well,
show.
Thank you.
I think it's a really important contribution to the show. And I'm looking forward to maybe us doing some music
All
again.
right. Yeah.
That'd be really fun.
Well, Mimi, I want to thank you so much, because
thank you for having me.
I get to know you a little bit now.
Well, likewise.
I've heard about you forever, and now I actually know the person.
All right.
So thanks for being here.
All right. Thank you for having me. Thanks for letting me say hello to your dogs when I first came in. That made me feel right at home. I always like to have the pupsters around. So
All right.
thank you.
You bet.
All right.
See you guys.